Hello there, my dear friends. It's good to be with you. Let's discuss the logic of the Houthis, because there's a logic that you will find in people like the Houthis that was also present in history in a person like Imam Hussein when he met Yazid's army at Karbala. And I want to take it back to the Holy Qur'an, to the sacred text of the Mus'haf. And we have so many holy people. You have so many pretenders to being experts, people who promise you to offer you correct guidance, people who promise you that if you only follow in detail what they have to tell you, then that would be the solution. And that's not a new phenomenon. That's a phenomenon that even the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam faced, because he experienced self-righteous people in his own time. Those self-righteous people, those people who ascribe perfect understanding, they call themselves hearts who completely contained or were enveloped by the truth of Allah. That is how the Bani Israel described themselves. Qulubuna ghulaf. So their hearts were completely covered in the truth of God. That is how the self-righteousness that these people ascribed to themselves. But there's a challenge that the Quran offers all these wisecracks, all these smart alecks, all these people who want to come and tell you they know what is true and they want to convince you what is true. They want to convince you of what is true. So there's a very, very powerful and interesting few verses in the Quran that debunk them, that actually expose them. And I want to just look at a few of those verses, and then I want to look at the actual attitude and logic of the true mu'min, also from the Quran. So let's quickly look at this first debunking here, where we go to chapter 2, verse 94. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل إن كانت لكم الدار الآخرة عند الله خالصة من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين. Allah says here in this verse, say, if you have a specially guaranteed home with God in the life hereafter, apart from the rest of humanity, then wish for death to prove you are right. So this is almost like those who are so convinced that their position is true and real and the right argument. I'm talking about those Salafists, those people who are so self-righteous on the internet, whoever, the Zionists, whoever, anyone, the evangelical Christians, anyone who comes to you and makes a powerful argument and tries to debunk your position that you draw from the Quran, this is the answer. So if you are so correct, why don't I see this eagerness for you to meet your God? Because obviously if you believe that heaven is only a step away from you and that is death, why don't why don't we see this yearning for death instead? The verse goes on. Let's continue. The next verse says, وَلَنْ يَتَمَنَّهُ وَلَنْ يَتَمَنَّهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. But they will not ever make such a wish because they have a sinister agenda. بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. But God is well aware of the wrongdoers. And then the final verse in the series says, of 3, وَلَتَجِدَنَّهُمْ أَحْرَصَ النَّاسِ عَلَى الْحَيَاةِ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا. These are the ones you will find clinging strongest to life, even more so than the pagans. So these self-righteous fools, these people who are telling you that you are wrong and they are right, who every day want to evangelize you, the Salafi evangelists, the Zionist Christian evangelist, whoever, each of them wishes he could live to 1,000 years, but that long life will not safeguard him from the penalty, and God remains fully observant of their dealings. Now, coming from those verses, let me just continue then to get to the logic, because the logic of the false believer, the believer, and you know what, I can include so many people with Arabic names, Muslims, who are now in an evangelic mood today. They want to convince the whole world to become Muslims. 2 billion Muslims can't save 2 million Gazans, but they want more Muslims. I don't know, what will it be worth if you have 5 billion Muslims who are useless? What does 2 billion want? So these evangelical Muslims, these evangelical Christians, these arrogant, self-righteous Jews, who, I'm not saying all of them, please don't quote me out of context, they are the ones who are spoken of in these verses that I've just shown you. So they, instead of showing an affinity to meet their God, they show an affinity for the world. You see them chasing likes and clicks on the internet. You see them trying to build empires of followers. You see them trying to build powerful economies and powerful countries, and they want to become the leaders of the world. That is somebody that is yearning for this world, not somebody who's yearning to meet their Creator. Now, let's quickly see the Houthis. They represent an alternative logic. This is the logic that you saw at Karbala. It is the logic of yearning to meet your Lord. It's the opposite logic of what I've just spoken, the self-righteous fools, the evangelicals, etc. It is the logic of a person that has a mission, and that mission is to get to his Lord, to meet God, to meet his Creator. That is the logic of Karbala. That is the logic of the Houthis. They're not trying to build empires. They're not trying to build huge economies. They're not trying to become the leaders of mankind. All they have is a mission, and that is to be reunited with their Lord. And that is firmly based in the Mus'haf. Very, very firmly based in the Mus'haf. Let me show you a few verses where I back that up. Now, first of all, okay, before I get there, rehashing of some old information that I've given to you already in the series. You see, people wonder that if I die today, if I die in battle today, when will I meet God? Will I meet God in 10 million years, 100 million years, 5 years, 10 years? What will happen to me? Will I have to? No. You see, the Qur'an is very, very clear about that. When you are departed by God from this life, when Allah departs your soul from this life, you also exit the experience or the being caught in the time trap. You escape time as you escape this world. So the dread of time is relieved. You are relieved of the dread of the passage of time. Time is integral to the life of this world. And so that thing called time, asr, you are exempted, you are liberated from the dread of time. And the verses make it clear. Let me show you some verses that make it very, very clear. Let's take this verse, for example. Here's a few examples. I'll take one at a time. Consider also chapter 2, verse 259. Consider also the man who passed through a city that lay in utter devastation, remarking, how will God ever revive this after its demise? So God caused him to die, then brought him back to life after 100 years. So this man is an example of somebody who died and was resurrected after 100 years. He asked, how long have you stayed over? The man replied, a day or part of a day. A day or part of a day. That is how time ceases to have any effect on a man that leaves the world of consciousness. Right? So time is only part of the human consciousness. It is not, when the consciousness goes, time also stops. That's an example there. Another example. It was from this state, this is the sleepers, right? The cave, the people of the cave, Surah Kahf. It was from this state that we roused them so they could deliberate on the matter. One of them asked, now these people slept for a very long time, right? For years. How long was your stay? They answered, our stay was for a day or even less. So another example in the Qur'an where somebody who loses consciousness doesn't go into some sort of weird time where they're seeing things or hearing things. No, everything stops. Time stops. And when you are given back consciousness, as we will be given back consciousness one day, our perception of time might return. But when we are removed, when we are departed from this life, our concept of time stops. Let's look at another one, chapter 10, verse 45. On that day when he resurrects them, it will be as though their stay on earth and in the grave, we can add there, was for no more than an hour of the day. So this point is not made tangentially or in any superficial way in the Quran. This point is made is reiterated at numerous points in the Quran. At some place in the Quran, I don't have the verse here, Allah speaks about He is the one who takes their ruhs at night. Right? And we know that every night we don't experience time when you're in a deep sleep. You don't feel 8 hours lying on your bed. So it feels like an hour or two, maybe if you have a sound, good sleep. So I had to make that point quickly before coming to the main point. Now, let me just sort of rehash what I've just told you. Number one, that those who come and tell you that you are not believing right and you should be following them, the Salafis, whatever, the evangelicals, whoever, the arrogant from amongst the Bani Israel who says that their hearts are perfect envelopes for the truth of God. All these people are debunked, right, in the Quran. But when the Quran says, why don't you wish for death? Why don't you act as if you wish to meet God? That was my first point. My second point was, when you leave this earth, when you pass on, when you depart this world, you will have the liqa, the meeting with God, almost within an hour in your perception. So you can decide, if you, like the Houthis can decide, is today a good day to meet my Lord? Because the day you die is the day you meet your Lord. And that's where I want to get to. For the Houthi, for the husseini, the person who is a lover and an upholder of the cause of Hussein, of Houthis, they are ready to meet their Lord every day. They are ready to meet their Lord every day. The day you die is the day you meet your Lord. That is the logic, my dear friends. And that is what I want to share with you. Now look at these verses that I want to show you. You see, the Qur'an in a very, very abundant way raises the issue of the liqa, the meeting with your Lord. Right? And I want to show you a few of these verses. I've got 10 here, and I'm sure there's more. Let me just quickly show you some of these. نساءكم حرث لكم فأتوا وقدموا أنفسكم واتقوا واعلموا أنكم ملاقوه. Okay, that is the one where Allah says, be aware that you have an appointment with Him. So that already speaks about the liqa, mulaquhu. Right? The mulaquhu means you have the appointment with Him, all of you. Let's quickly look. I've got 11 here. I'm going to try and get to some of them. Those who deny the future appointment with their Lord are deprived. That is how Allah describes those people who deny. And even if you say you believe in the liqa, you don't really, because you're not aspiring to it. So then we gave Moses the code, a code that clearly sets out everything, also as a source of guidance and a courtesy, with a hope that they would embrace the future appointment with their Lord. Again, لَعَلَّهُمْ بِلِقَاءِ رَبِّكُمْ يُؤْمِنُونَ, so that they could embrace and come to terms and endorse the liqa with Allah. Here's another one. Those who reject our evidence and who reject the appointment in the life hereafter, الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا وَلِقَاءِ الْآخِرَةِ وَحَبِطَتْ أَعْمَالَهُم. Those who are averse to that appointment with us shall have their efforts rendered void. So no person, no matter how we want to build an Islamic republic and an Islamic society and you want to be a virtuous Muslim, if you do not desire, if you do not look forward to, if you obscure, deny, and are averse to the appointment with God, you have a problem. Your deeds are not worth anything. Habitat a'maluhum. Look at this one. I'm just going to read. Those who deny the appointment with God shall be deprived, having been misled during their earthly life. Let's look at another one. Those directives He sets out for you to hopefully become convinced of the appointment with your Lord one day. The powerful elite members of His people who obscured and denied the appointment in the life hereafter, those to whom we endowed with earthly, right? So they are the rejectors, those who deny and obscure. So many people are in denial about the appointment with the Lord. So I'm not going to go further. What I want to leave with you, the idea that I want to leave with you is the logic of the Houthi is, he is longing, the logic of the Karbala, the person of historically, because we're dealing with this an event historically, but we're also dealing with a contemporary event. Because last night or this morning I read that the UK and Britain, the powerful elite, the powerful oppressor of our time, they've bombed the Houthi positions in Yemen. But what they don't understand is that for the Houthi there is a different logic. There is the logic of the liqa with Allah. So what? All these people alive now will be dead in 100 years. Every single person, almost with the exception of a handful maybe, will be gone in 100 years. They will be at the same place where the Houthi martyrs will be in 100 years. They might have experienced 100 years more of this earth's joys and whatever. But in 100 years they will catch up with the Houthis, and that is where the liqa of Allah happens. The meeting with God, the appointment with God happens. So I just wanted to convince you that, or illustrate to you the logic of the Houthis, the logic of those people who have gone into the mode of perfectly surrendering to Allah, of making their lives, their persons, everything just property of God, which can be returned at any time. And remember, the logic of the Houthi is any day is a good day to meet your Lord. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.